Okay, good morning. What was that quote that you just gave, Julian, by Jay-Z?
I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman.
Yeah. Jay-Z just became the first billionaire hip hop person, a rapper. So he just broke the sound barrier. I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman. And we were just having the Rama Global meeting, and Julian very aptly finished it with that. So I want to talk a little bit this morning about leadership and what it means to kind of be a leader in this time, because basically everybody's looking for leadership, and there's all these kind of like new age quotes that are we are the ones we've been waiting for, and all that kind of stuff, but it's the truth. And if you, basically people are looking to you to be a leader, and they need it. They need that kind of leadership, and they don't even know. Hold on, I just pushed the wrong button, and my computer's communicating with the spaceship. Stop. Don't do that right now. But basically people are looking to you, especially this is something that we're working on this whole kind of residency. If you have a certain kind of frequency in the aura, you're going to notice that, which we worked with a lot yesterday. You're going to notice that in a group of people, everyone's going to be looking to you for certain things or coming to you. Like one of the graces in this last council, she was somewhere and she was trying to be low key. She was trying to be, just like just there, kind of observing or whatever. And she said that literally every couple of steps, people were stopping her and introducing themselves and finding out, what she was doing. She was kind of like overwhelmed by the experience because she couldn't be low key. Because the frequency going through the aura is something, it's magnetic. People want to kind of, have an experience of that. Now, there's some people have kind of these innate types of experiences. Somebody was telling me they met Kate Moss yesterday. And she was like, at first she was like, oh, it's just like this kind of British rocker lady from afar. But the moment she kind of came up, she's like, oh, that's Kate Moss. And she said the moment that she was on the phone, she was laughing. And the moment she started, she was like, you're Kate Moss. And the moment she started talking, she said like the magnetism of the aura it wasn't even that she's kind of regular looking, which oftentimes is the case. A lot of times those people know there's a quality, they know how to kind of shapeshift in front of the camera. More on that later. But so she said, it wasn't like you wouldn't even, because she's not a tall person either, Kate Moss. She was kind of a smaller person, so she doesn't have that kind of like tallness. Everybody thinks I'm short, which I think is hilarious. I'm like, no, I'm not short. I'm just sitting down. I hear that everywhere. It's like, oh, I thought you were short. No, I'm just high-waisted and I'm cross-legged sitting down. That's why you thought I was short? Okay, no problem. I do look short on TV. So she's not like a tall, like she's not physically, but the aura is super magnetic. That's how you get into spaces that, that she, the type of person that she is, gets into. That's what fame, celebrity, that kind of magnetism. Some people innately have it. It's an incarnational thing. But in this technology, you can develop a type of magnetism in the aura. And I talked about this yesterday. The circumvent force is the weather pattern of the aura. Now, the weather pattern, Yogi Bhajan says that's actually one of the hardest parts of the aura to really change and alchemize is that weather pattern of the aura. But there's other parts of the aura that are much easier to change, like the radiance, which we work on a lot, and other aspects of when certain kind of parts of the home, because the aura is a home, so when certain parts of the home that you're living in are the lights aren't turned on, or you haven't been in that room for a while. We stayed in this Mallorquin finca is what it's called. So, yeah, I know some words in Spanish, and so we stayed there over the winter because I like to stay out of town. When you come to Rama Festival, it's Mallorca is so cute in every way, but there's these beautiful little kind of farms, and so we were staying out of town at this farm, and they had decided, like the creepy houses that like have there's certain rooms that are locked. I always feel like that's weird. Can people just not do that? It's just strange. But it's like so it's usually an older person's house you go to, and it's like for some reason certain doors are locked. Well, this is one of the houses, and I said to the guy when he was giving us the tour, I'm like, can you just unlock the doors so I can go into the rooms to see what's going on in there before you leave? Because I don't like houses where doors are locked. It freaks me out. And so, he kind of like let us in the he let us in the rooms, and it was okay. It was still a little creepy, but there wasn't anything to. But then about halfway through the stay, there was a light on in one of the rooms, and I was like, oh, Jesus. I mean, really? And it was up like by the bathroom that you had to go to at 4 a.m. to take the cold shower. and when if there was any kind of air going through the house, the door would rattle. And I'm like, come on. Why am I telling you this? Come and help me with this metaphor. Oh, yeah, exactly. Thank you. This is a good point. So some of us have those types of kind of rooms in the aura that we either haven't gone into for a long time, or for some reason they're kind of locked. And that lock, we could call it trauma. Or we could call it some sort of kind of a numbness. So that's a common thing, that there's these kind of catacombs of the aura that basically haven't been gone into or inhabited either at all in this lifetime or for a long, long time. And the reason usually is some sort of trauma or some sort of atrophy or some sort of numbness, that we haven't kind of fully embodied and inhabited the aura in a way that would kind of bring some of that energy into a bigger, more magnetic, radiant kind of space. So Yogi Bhajan says that kind of weather pattern, however, the winds that kind of whip through your home, that stuff is harder to change, but you can change that too. I mean, so we have this technology where you really can change so much. You can. I said this in New York. It's good to just remember this, because it's easy to just be like, it's Tuesday morning, no big deal. We went to Blue Bottle instead of Air One this morning. Just a regular morning in Venice, California. We have way too many choices, and a lot of problems because of it. Way too much and lots of problems, privilege and problems. But so, it's easy to kind of numb out to this stuff. But this is just one example. There's one mantra we have, which is just a normal mantra. We play it all the time at JLA. That mantra, if you play it, if you learn it, which is pretty easy because it rhymes, so it has a vibe. And so if you play it and you learn the mantra, it actually has the ability to give you basically the quantum leap of 250 lifetimes. Because in the frequency of the mantra, it gives you the knowing of these facets of the God self that would take you 250 lifetimes to accumulate, understand, reincarnate, repeat, reincarnate, repeat, reincarnate, repeat. And the mantra, just a simple mantra we play all the time. We're doing cat cow. Who cares? Tuesday morning in Venice. That sound code. I just want you to get the depth of the technology. That sound code, when listened to and repeated, can give you access to a quantum leap of 250 lifetimes. Now, It's a lot of lifetimes. That's a lot of rinse and repeat. That's a lot of struggle. That's a lot of misery. That's a lot of karma. That's a lot of everything, 250 lifetimes. So that's just one mantra. Now, why we do the Mahan Jap, that meditation we do with Hari Jivan most nights when he's here, I'm sure we'll do it tonight. We're going to do it tomorrow night before the live White Sun concert. And so why we do that is because that's another one of these things. It's a much easier mantra. You Satanama, anybody can, all the kids know it, like the moment they're out of the womb and stuff. Everybody knows that mantra. So that, in an accumulation of the way that we do it in the Mahan Jap, that gives us, Hari Jivan now has, let's see, we did a little math in Tibet. He has, I think we're coming on like 50,000 years of meditation. If you were to do that, if you were to sit down and meditate, any 31-minute meditation, but if you did a 31-minute meditation for 50,000 years plus, I think that was the number that we came up with. The amount of mantric recitations would equal 50,000 years of meditation. That's how much Mahan Jap recitation. It's a very specific alchemical recitation mathematical process that we do. So that's why we do it. Because think about how much would you be different if you had sat and meditated for 50,000 years. Really, really different. And we've accumulated that many recitations. He has. We've accumulated that many recitations we started counting in 2013 when we opened Rama. So it hasn't been that long. So that's that's kind of the game we're playing, and you can really make some huge leaps. And we're in this kind of solstice window, so you want to be thinking about these types of kind of, we'll call it wormholes that are available to you. That if you meditated every day for 50,000 years, some of the problems that seem so huge now would no longer be in any way, shape, or form a part of your existence. You would have blown by them. And I was saying this in New York as well. You got to like think about this. You can blow by some kind of misery, trauma, freak out, pattern, thing that you've been doing for lifetimes. You can blow by that stuff in one meditation. And you should be thinking about that. That's why, that's really why we're in a whole kind of post-therapeutic, and blow by, I mean, basically you can completely blow up the pattern. You can deconstruct the pattern. So it literally is no longer a part of your experience. Now, there are things that I would call a corpus of the pattern. So oftentimes you'll blow the thing up or by, you'll blow by it, and then because it's something you've been schmeagling for so many lifetimes, your little precious, neurotic thing, you'll have the kind of like feeling like, you'll be a little confused because and that's really common. You blow by it and then you're like, wait a second, was I neurotic about something? You'll feel like, you're kind of like trying to remember what you're neurotic about. Or you kind of, and then if you really concentrate on it, we're very good at this, you'll remember. You'll be like, oh yeah. Okay, I'm cool. I'm back. I remember what I'm neurotic about. And so you'll kind of remember the thing, but when you deconstruct it, it will never be the same again. So you may be able to still kind of, do a glory round with it. You might be able to, do a glory lap and still kind of get back into it because you still have the kind of muscle memory and the psychological and emotional memory of the thing. But the thing itself has been deconstructed. So it will feel strange even when you're doing it. That means that you're basically running the corpus of a pattern that actually no longer exists. Has anyone experienced that? Because that's a sophisticated thing. So you're kind of like, whatever the thing is, you're doing it, but you're just running through the paces, and you realize that it's you're like, okay, all right, I'm done. And sometimes you need to run that kind of victory lap with it, to realize that it no longer you just can't do it anymore. But I was saying in New York, these kind of food allergies and stuff, somebody sent me a meme, and it was this, it was this woman in a pop-up kind of tent, sitting inside the tent on the side of a soccer field. And the meme said, guess whose son has a made-up gluten allergy? It was a good one. So, there's the parents are putting all sorts of neurotic shit on the kids, and your parents did it too. It's not their fault. They were doing their best. But it's very clear. I mean, it's that obvious too. If you're one of these people that are carrying around weaknesses that, sometimes we do have illness and that kind of stuff. But a lot of times these ideas, these weaknesses are things we're carrying around from the parents. And it's literally that obvious as that meme. That's why I loved that meme. Because the kid, the food allergy people, it's they had a parent that was like that. They was obsessed with weakness and not strength. Because if you do Sakri every day, you can blow by that shit quickly. Now that doesn't mean you need to be eating gluten at every meal, but you're not a handicapped person anymore. And these food allergies handicap people. I mean, I thought it was hilarious in Tibet. The first 4 days is the food allergy people and the paleo people and the gluten-free people. And so the first 4 days it was I'm paleo, so I'm not going to have any. I mean, you're in Tibet. It's every foot, in the Chinese carbohydrates, and the Tibetans carbohydrates. So there's a lot of options in that department. And they also like MSG. And I had my phone with the translator that said I am allergic to MSG, and I would be like, I am allergic to MSG. Do you see this? And they would be like, mm-hmm, and they just put it in there anyways. It's hilarious. So you're getting MSG poisoned, and there's just, this is what travel's good for the soul because of this stuff. And I read a bunch of blogs because I like to do research of people who made it through China without MSG, getting MSG, and it basically all you can eat is bread. So if you're gluten free, good luck. So the first 4 days, those people were at every meal, it was kind of so I don't really do that. I keep my net carb count under 10. There was just it was everyone kind of still had their shit together. We got third, fourth day, we drug everybody up on this horrible hike. That was almost 16,000 feet altitude. And it was this was what you got, which was a little can of oxygen. So it was okay, good luck, And everybody was so it was a big day. So by the time, you get past that, we're dragging everybody around, and when you get past that, it's there's only a couple things that are going to comfort you. And those things are called carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, maybe a little shopping. There's only a couple. There's a very short list in that kind of altitude because you can't sleep. You can't. It's very uncomfortable. And so there's only a couple of things that are going to give you a little comfort. And so by day 4.5, all of those people, I was we had stopped at some side. Not even this was what I loved about it. It was it wasn't even a dignified carbohydrate. We had stopped at a bathroom break, and there was a weird little noodle stall. And every single person who had told me that they were paleo and gluten-free had a bowl of kind of real sketchy Szechuan noodles. I was I wouldn't even eat those. Okay, good job, you guys. Here we are in Tibet getting over our neuroses. And everybody was fine, okay? Everybody was fine, right? So we gotta, this is kind of the capacity. You have these technologies where you can blow by this stuff really quickly. And I want you to be thinking about this because people are looking to you to, show them the way. on a low-key way, a high-key way, depending on where you're kind of, you may think that you can hide. My favorite story is Tage in the 70s was like sick of everybody looking at her. And so she was going out to dinner with her brother in Pomona, and she was like, I'm not wearing my turban tonight. I'm taking the turban off, and I'm just wearing my sweatpants. I just don't feel like everyone looking at me. And so she went to the restaurant. It was an Italian restaurant in Pomona, like some strip mall. She opened the door. She's like in a blue sweatsuit, no turban. She opens the door to the restaurant, and literally everyone stopped talking and turned around and looked at her. She was like, it was a very defining moment of like, oh, wait a second. They're not looking at me because I'm wearing a turban or they're looking at me because of the aura. And so even if you're kind of trying to like not be in a leadership, everyone's going to be looking at you. And so these are the kinds of, it's a irritating part of becoming more of yourself, because people need others that are showing the way of how to be more themselves. And so whether you like it or not, you're going to be getting that kind of feedback from your environment, from your coworkers, from your children, from your friends. And so this is Yogi Bhajan. He says, now let us talk facts. Many of you, the majority of you, and some of you are basically fundamentally made to believe to be afraid to be a leader. Because leader means taking the risk. Leader means going from the finite to the infinite. Leader means putting the self on the side and jumping for all sides. Leader means not reaching, but reaching out. There's a humongous unknown in the life of a leader. It's humongous. It's huge. May I tell you something? There is no ugliness in this world when you are limited. The only thing that's ugly is when you are limited. You are ugly. That is the only ugliness you have to face. That is why saying to you yesterday that a leader is to be led and a leader is to lead into the unknown, and Mother Nature has to teach you this, as my mother taught me that. Leadership is a personal ecstasy, and it doesn't require multivitamins. It requires a momentum, a moment, and a movement of your personal courage, of your spirit. It's your character. It's your basic character to be a leader, not a liar. It is your basic character to be a giver, not a scoundrel. It is your basic character to be firm, not shaky. Your faculty of characters are all good, but you have the choice to be, not to be, or to be just to be. Little post-Shakespearean for you. To be, not to be, or to be just to be. To be, not to be, or to be just to be. And I forgot, so we're starting our rehearsals for A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I forgot how much A Midsummer Night's Dream is like that Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Inception. So this is going to be pretty good. I'm very excited about this. We're performing A Midsummer Night's Dream. You will see many faces you know and some that you don't. Cameos, the surprise cameos at A Midsummer Night's Dream at Rama Festival. Playing only one night, for good or for evil, at Rama Festival this summer. And we've always wanted to do a Rama Shakespeare Festival, so we are very excited to be doing this. But so you have the option to be, not to be, or to be just to be. Riddle me that one. Okay, so we're gonna, what'd you say? That's Yogi Bhajan. That is not Shakespeare. To be, not to be, or to be just to be. All right, so this is an auric capacity, and one of the things that you could practice, this is my offering to you today and in this solstice window. You could practice just taking the heat for things and not trying to blame others. This will change your life. Nothing like getting blamed for stuff that you didn't do to make you a better leader. Or getting blamed for stuff that you didn't do, but because you're a leader, it's still your responsibility. But you can take this into your personal life a million times because, as a woman, we contain the relationship. So if there's problems in the relationship, you contain the relationship. Your aura contains the relationship. So if there's problems in the relationship, and women don't like this. It pisses them off. But you gotta, if you really want to change things, you've got to take some responsibility. You're allowing for that behavior in your aura. Or you're even encouraging it. This is another level of the stuff. You're encouraging the behavior in some subconscious way. Or as a parent, Yogi Bhajan, the mothers would come and be like, or the parents would come and be like, I had this problem, my kids, this, that, and the other thing did. And Yogi Bhajan would always, which again, not popular in parenting culture, your kid has no problem, you have a problem. Just like that gluten-free mom. That kid does not have a gluten allergy. That mom has a problem. She's neurotic and she's not dealing with her problem. She's created a neurotic kid. Now, again, not popular in the discourse. Same thing in the business world. If you got a problem with the culture in your business, you got a problem. It's your problem. If you're one of the leaders of that business, it's your problem. We met the COO of Facebook, Sheryl, what's her name, Sandberg? Is that her name? She's got a problem on her hands because that thing is being held in her aura. Looks like they might have gotten past it, but these are that's you got to look at it that way. And most leaders, people don't want to take that kind of responsibility. So but the thing about it is that the pain of not stepping up actually is much more painful than the pain of having that kind of responsibility. And so I think one of the best things you can do is fall on the sword as much as possible in your relationships. As a parent, fall on the sword. Take the hit. If you're big enough to take the hit, then people are going to respect you, especially the people who know that you didn't do it. And then eventually, even the people who thought you did something, they'll probably come around too if you really start to take the hit. I posted that thing on my social media. Let whoever say whatever about you. It's such a good spiritual practice. Who cares? If you're big enough, if your aura is big enough to handle that, then you're going to start to live in a much different way. So that's I'm encouraging everyone to just take the hit. Are you big enough to take the hit? Take it. For whoever you're, and people are going to respect you in a whole nother way. You're going to become a much more kind of magnetic person because you're not always blaming others and defending others. Eckhart kind of says it this way, Eckhart Tolle. He says, if you can practice, give yourself a couple weeks of just not defending anything. Somebody accuses you of something, this kind of thing. Like I had a business situation in 2015, 16, where, some people were being assholes. But instead of, I never said anything. I just let them run the thing out, and people make themselves look bad. So you just let people run the thing and blame you. And, look, the lady always doth protest too much. If you're the one who's like, oh, cool, you take the hit. Let anybody think whatever they want. And then your character, your caliber, your aura will speak for itself. It's a great spiritual practice. But in the Eckhart scene, the way he says it is basically just don't defend. For a month, for 40 days, don't defend anything. Which is, you want to talk about rigorous spiritual practice, because basically when you start to look at everything you say and do, almost all of it is a defense mechanism. Do we get that? Almost everything we say and do is somehow defending ourselves from having to take the hit. And if you stop doing that, you become really interesting. And any real leader, that's what they're doing. They're just like, I'm big enough for people to blame me for things. I'm big enough for people to slander me. I'm big enough for people to gossip about me. I'm big enough for people to, that means people are paying attention. Sometimes I'm shocked at what people are paying attention to. Like, wow, I like to throw things in the discourse just to, see what people are really paying attention to, because this is how, and the more you kind of get this, the more you're going to have what Yogi Bhajan calls a personal ecstasy. Leadership is a personal ecstasy, so it's for you. It's selfish. Don't you want to have that personal ecstasy? It's a good feeling. All right, so we're going to work on it a little bit as we kind of go, and we'll have something very special this summer. We're starting something called the Parliament of Victory, which will become something called the Parliament of Power, which is going to be an invite-only kind of a real thought leader kind of conference, the Parliament of Power. But this is one step into that, which is called Parliament of Victory. It'll be here in August, and it's 4 days of a shut-in with me, where basically we'll take a small group in an accelerated experience to do the things that you're working on that you need some push and some real feedback and some new ways of looking at things and some kind of development and acceleration on. This is one of my favorite things to do. I did it, it's part of the work I do in the Graces, but I wanted to open it into a co-ed kind of just small time, like the Graces I work with for a year, but this is a 4-day kind of accelerator experience. So it'll be just a small group of us in here, doors shut, for 4 days. We'll be around basically a board room table, and we'll be kind of just hashing it out, plus doing some practice and meditation, that kind of thing. But I've found that this is the new kind of level where I can actually really help people to go to the next level of their own kind of personal development. And Rama Business School being our kind of bigger part of that, which is, our favorite thing that we do all the time. Okay, so we're going to work a little bit with this because I want you to think all of these, whether you're a business person or not, all of this stuff this is going to change your life. These principles are universal in our relationships and our parenting and our health and all of this kind of stuff. All right, so bring the fingers to the pads of the palms, stretch up. We'll begin breath of fire. Thanks so much for listening to another lecture on reality riffing. These are conversations and topics that I think are very important to discuss. If you enjoyed, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and share with your friends and your family. If you also want to continue to listen, bigger lectures and classes and other experiences are available on gurujagat.com.